What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the Scyfli channel. Today we are going to be talking about ground glass joints, the things that make all of our water pipes work. I wanted to talk a little bit about last week's video. We had some issues. YouTube is not particularly fond of a certain green leaf. We'll just leave it at that. So as we try and figure out what we can and what we cannot put up, this may happen from time to time while we figure it out. So if that happens, no big deal. We'll try to get that information out to you another way, whether it's through our Instagram or our Facebook. We will place all that information there so you can get at it later. So just bear with us. We might get canceled every now and then. But anyway, let's get started with the glass ground joints. So, bong fittings, water pipe fittings, that's what we're talking about today. Now, before ground glass joints were the major way bong fittings were made, they used this earlier method. All right, this is what's called a 9mm slide, and this slide has a rubber gasket around it, and the piece also has a rubber gasket around it, mounted around the downstem. So you take your 9mm slide, you put it in up to the gasket, and then you use it. That's typically how water pipes are used, right? The older ones. And late 90s, they started using what are called ground glass joints. And that's what these are. Now, originally, ground glass joints were used primarily in chemistry laboratories. You know, with Flask and Erlenmeyers and big contraptions, they would use these glass ground joints to seal the fittings. So, like so, that creates an airtight fitting, and that would be, you know, useful in all their experiments. So in the late 90s, a couple companies started doing this. Rohr is one of the biggest ones that started applying ground glass joints to bongs, right? And then eventually you got this, which is all glass ground joints. You got a 14mm slide, which we'll go over, a 14mm low pro downstem, which we'll go over, and that all goes into an 18mm ground glass joint on the bong there, right? So we will start with the common sizes. That's going to kind of be the best place to start, because there are other sizes of glass ground joints, but primarily in this industry there are three main sizes, and that's it. Now, custom bongs can use custom sizes, but typically you only have these sizes here. Okay, that's a 14mm on this side. And this is what most slides on a bong use, right? This whole tray here is 14mm slides, and they easily fit right in there. Okay, so once you know what size your fittings are, you don't have to worry about testing. If it fits, it'll fit, because there's only a standard size. So you got 14mm, 18mm, and then you got 10mm, which is the smallest. You see how small that is? Those are the main sizes, right? So when you buy a bong, you go in, and if you're looking for a particular fitting, you would come in and you'd say, hey Mark, I need a 14mm bong for my slide. I would take you to the 14s. If you need an 18mm, you go to the 18s, and 10mm, and so on and so forth. So the main thing when you're using these glass ground joints, sometimes they can get stuck, so you need to lubricate them. That's the one thing most people don't do with these glass ground joints when they use them. They don't lubricate them. And what you're going to use is some type of PTFE lubricant. I'll try and post something around me on the video so you can know what I'm talking about, but it's just a light oil lubricant that you would put around your joints, and when you put it in there, that will guarantee that it is airtight and there's no place where you're going to be getting air coming through. So that is the main thing with a glass ground joint. You lubricate it, you stick it in, you're good to go. There's not much else to it. But you know, glass ground joints can be on a typical slide, which is this is a flower slide. They can also be on bangers. This is a 10 millimeter thermal banger, right? Bangers come in only 3 sizes: 10 millimeter, 14, 18, just like the slides. And then you have adapters, right? Glass ground joints can help you connect one pipe to another, connect one accessory to another. And you know, right here I have all kinds of different fitting sizes that's going to help you fit any type of piece to any other type of piece. So that's why glass ground joints are nice. Since there's a standard in the industry, you don't have to think about it. Everybody has something that fits a 14. Everybody has something that fits an 18. Everybody has something to fit the 10. By having those 3 sizes, the industry is pretty much standardized when it comes to these parts. Alrighty, we're going to talk about downstems real quick, guys. These are what typical ground joint downstems look like. There are 3 sizes like we just talked about: your 10 millimeter, your 14 millimeter, and your 18 millimeter. Now, when you go to replace these, when you go into a head shop, we measure from the bottom of the joint down, right? So this particular downstem is 5 inches, so I would ask for an 18 millimeter 5-inch downstem. Always always measure from the bottom of the glass joint there. Now that's an 18 millimeter, right? This is the 14 that's next to it, and there's a 10 that should be here, but I don't have any in stock right now. But so that's it's pretty simple. That's it. You put your slide in, right? You put your downstem in, you put your water in, and you're good to go. This is what's called a low pro 14 millimeter downstem, right? So it's actually the same size as the 18 around this part, but instead of having this extra piece of glass, it stays with the low pro style, and that is why this is called a low pro 14 millimeter downstem. But all in all, remember to measure from the bottom of the glass joint. That's all you need to remember. That's really all I wanted to tell you guys about today. This is not a very super exciting video, but I get this question all the time, so I thought a standard video would kind of help you guys get along, if I could help any. But if you have any other questions about glass fittings, something I didn't talk about, I can certainly answer you down in the comments. Let me know. But for now, that is it. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you next time.